Right, so sitting here in the gym with Ellen Toweel. It's been a while since we obviously sat down and had a chat, but it's good because we need to have a catch up on your boxes. How's everything been for you early 2021?
Going fine. It's been a tough couple of 6 months, but there's certain things we have in place that we're going to work towards, and I'll go through that with you now, with each boxer, and we just carry on, just keep on going.
Well, let's start at the top. The heaviest man in your gym, Dragon, Wilhelm, had a bit of ill luck lately, but what's in store for him?
Well, look, if I go back, he was supposed to fight the 20th of December. Unfortunately, his opponent got injured, and then on the same bull, I think Luke Sutherland was supposed to fight an opponent, and his opponent got injured. And then I said, why don't you put the two together? Then I was told by the promoter, no, Luke Sutherland may be moving down to cruiserweight. Wilhelm's too big for him. And then I go back at the ratings, because I always study the ratings. I see Luke Sutherland's number one in the country. So maybe there was a reason why I didn't want to fight Wilhelm. But be that as it may, then we were offered a fight the 27th of Feb. We got an opponent from the Munyai stable, and then he pulled out. And then we got a second opponent from the same stable, and 2 days before, he also pulled out. So it's been a bit tough, So then I had to call out, I had no choice because there's no one else in the division. Call out Josh Pretorius as a proposed match, even though Josh is more experienced and been there with the SA champion. Willem hasn't reached those heights yet. But if you've got when your back's against the wall, you've got to start taking those kind of fights. So there's possible talk. I've had a chat with Corey. Hopefully that fight will materialize. I've also possibly may get a fight for Wilhelm in June. So, but the biggest thing is he's still training in the gym. He's improving on his technique. His weight's dropped from 140 kilos right down to 127 kilos. So he's keeping in shape. He's learning his trade. But now we need to get the fights going. And like I said to you before, it's a long-term project with him. So I'm in no rush. But at least if I can get him 1 or 2 fights this year, I'll be happy.
Well, I was watching the Cape Town tournament, right, and there's a couple of heavyweights that were on that bull. One of them was also a guy with a similar record, 3-0, Sean Rue. I thought that was going to be a potential good matchup. Yeah. What do you think of that sort of a fight?
I think it's a good fight. If it's been offered to us, we'll take the fight, That's another good option. So there's another heavyweight that's there that may take the fight, which is great, I also heard through the grapevine that Keaton Gomes has moved up to the heavyweight division. I've also heard through the grapevine that Chris Thompson's moved up to the heavyweight division. So it looks like it's going to start picking up. So with all these names in place, one of them will be fighting him soon, which is good,
If you had your pick of which one you'd like next, which one would it be?
I wouldn't mind taking the guy from Cape Town, Joe. I haven't seen him fight, but I've seen the position that he's had. I think it's similar kind of fights to Wilhelm. Be a good test for him. And then maybe take on eventually Gomes, and then Chris, why not? No rush, but the thing is we want to get him a fight, and that's what we're working towards.
All right, so let's move on to the second biggest man in the gym, Akani Pussy. He tasted his first defeat as a professional to Johnny Muller, a very experienced campaigner, but you anticipated a tough fight, you were telling me off camera. So what's next for him? What would you like?
Look, when he fought Johnny, first of all, I don't believe Johnny is a finished fighter. Johnny's been to places where Akani hasn't been. And Johnny showed no respect for Akani. And when he dropped Akani, it derailed Akani a bit. He couldn't get going. But at least Akani never took the punishment that other youngsters had taken in their previous fights, fighting well-campaigned fighters. And I still believe he's got a good chance against Johnny Muller. Even though I still believe Johnny Muller has no respect for him, and Johnny Muller, he's dangerous.
Yeah.
But it's a good learning fight for Akani. It's a fight that he can learn from. And I believe he's learned a lot from this last fight. And our backs against the wall with Akani because, especially here in South Africa, there's no one else to fight. If I look at the ratings, Lebo Machito fought in the cruiserweight division. He's rated in the cruiserweight division. When we offered him to fight Akani, he said no, he's moving down to light heavyweight. So now he's campaigning now as a light heavyweight. He just lost his last fight, right? Wanted then Keaton Gomes as a good match for Akani. Keaton Gomes is moving up to the heavyweight division. So we've got no choice but to ask for that rematch for Johnny Miller. And that hopefully will be in the near future.
A lot of people would have looked at it because, Johnny is still Johnny, at the end of the day. And you just mentioned that he's going to be tough. But, a second fight, does Akani get better? Does the result change?
I believe the result will change. I believe Akani has learnt a lot from that fight. But only time will tell once he steps in the ring with that guy. That's the reality, you see. And like I said, it's very difficult to fight a man that's got years and years of experience and doesn't care about you. It's got no fear about you. That whatever you throw at him, he's going to walk through you. It's very difficult to fight a guy like that. But Akani's been there now. He's felt it. He's tasted defeat. He's been dropped, which he has never been dropped before. Yeah. And from what I've been told, he's never been dropped as an amateur. He's never been dropped in the gym, but he was dropped for the first time in his career. So he's been through that now. Now he has to get to that next level. Let's see if he can do that.
All right. The next one is the third biggest. I'm thinking I'm calculating this right. Is Frank Rodrigues.
Yes.
He's got some opportunities potentially in the future. He's campaigning as a super middleweight for now. Tell us a bit more about him.
Well, Frank, when he first came to the gym, he was weighing around 86 kilos. Now he's gone right down to 73. I'm glad we're moving out of the light heavyweight division. He put up a good challenge against Nicholas Radley, but he was too small for that division. So now we're going to try the super middleweight division. And if I assess the super middleweight division, I look at the ratings, I see Reino. I believe Reino will possibly give up the SA title. Right? I believe that possibly Rowan Campbell may not fight for a couple of months. So with a vacant SA title, you've got Frank at number 2, you've got Cohen Ray at number 3. That'll be a great matchup. Both have their fans, a great South African SA title. So I'm hoping for that to happen. Actually, we're really talking about, I've really spoken to a few promoters about that. And that's what we're planning to push. An SA title fight between Cohen Ray and Frank Rodrigues. And I think it'll be a very good competitive match.
Well, you mentioned it being that it's fan bases as well. So, potentially if there's a crowd, that would be a lot better for this fight, right?
Absolutely. But still, I think for a TV fight, even if there's no crowd, it'll be a good fight.
And how do you think the two guys match up? You said it would be a good fight, but stylistically, how do you see your guy going in this fight?
The way Frank is performing now in sparring and in the gym, he's really full-on committed to the sport. He's lost a tremendous amount of weight. He's walking now at 73 kilos. Yeah. Now he can actually go to the middleweight division, but he wants to stay there in the super middleweight, see how much he can grab out of that super middleweight division. So I think, personally, the way Frank's fighting, the way he's boxing and his speed may be a bit too much for Cohen Ray. Really, I'm very confident for this fight, if it should materialize.
All right, so obviously he's a mauler, he's a bit of a brawler as well as Frank, but he can box as well. But
and his boxing has improved, because before he used to just slug. Now he's boxing behind the jab, he's moving side to side, and his speed has picked up. So the more weight he's lost, but this is in the gym.
Yeah.
Let's see what he puts through into the fight, Because he had an impressive win against Markham, Against Nicholas he lost, but in the height, he had a height disadvantage there. But he still put up a good performance. And you know what? I threw in the towel. I wanted the fight to be stopped. He was upset with me, And even though Radley was winning that fight, I didn't want Frank to take any extra punishment. So the way he's performing now, I think he's going to another level in the South African arena, And he should perform well in the super middleweights.
All right, and on to the next one, Toweel Munyai. He's part of he's the SA champion, but and you have got a fight coming up for him really soon.
Yeah.
But he's also part of a lightweight trio of kings in this country, which eventually, hopefully, they get in the ring. That be Lusano Combinisi, Nebe and Nyangani. Those names still float around. I'm sure you will entertain those fights if they come along. Oh, and Ayanda and Corsi, sorry, a quadruple of guys. But for now, what's the plan?
Well, look, he's going to defend his title on the 28th of May against Kaya Busakwa, the current Gauteng lightweight champion. Kaya can punch. He's got the height. And it's very awkward. Even though he hasn't got the experience that Toweel has got, he's got the height and the power. So it'll be a competitive fight. But Toweel has been training now for 3-4 months for this fight. It's been cancelled twice already. Postponed twice, not cancelled, postponed. Now it's for the 28th of May. I believe Toweel will defend his title successfully. Should he win, then you've got Nebe, either Ayanda Nkosi or Commendations. So there are competitions there, like you said.
Yeah.
And I would think from a financial aspect, it would be good money fights for him because he's at the tail end of his career. But he's 36, going on to 36. I still believe he's got possibly 3 good years left in him. The way he's performing in the gym, you know, he just has to take that into the fight. So, and he trains like a Trojan, you know. I mean, he knows it's his last hooray coming up. You know, it's his last few years, and he's given it all. And you never know, he may continue till the age of 40, you know. He hasn't taken much punishment. If you watch him when he lost to Azinga, there wasn't much punishment. The fight got stopped. When I was when he lost to Rafiwa, I was there in Limpopo. It wasn't much punishment, you know. So, and he's got years and years of experience, you know. So, and his mind, he's very positive. He's motivated. He wants to prove that he is what he really is supposed to be, the real Toweel Munyai.
I mean, obviously you've got to take care of business with the SFL, but which is the biggest fight locally then out of the 3 for him? Who would you say in your opinion?
In my opinion?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to do step by step. I wouldn't mind him fighting Nebe first and then fight Ayanda Nkosi. Because I think Ayanda Nkosi is the bigger one.
Wow. Okay.
You know, I think Ayanda Nkosi, he's young, he's come forward, he doesn't stop punching, no fear. He may not be stylistic, but he's got the height also.
Yeah.
So I think that's a tough fight. But that will be the biggest SA lightweight fight between Toweel and Ayanda Nkosi.
And Ayanda has not been in the ring in a very long time as well. He's a bit rusty. Do you anticipate him getting any fights soon so that they can start opening up that conversation again?
I'm not sure. But from what my understanding of Ayanda, he comes from the Malinga stable. And they train regularly. They're always fit. They always produce the goods. So even if he hasn't been fighting for 2 years, that guy will fight. You know. So that's going to be that will be an uphill for us. You know.
Not that I anticipate. I know the same thing. Like that he hasn't fought in a while. Do you not see that Toweel might be going a little bit too far ahead, and then the fight might not be able to be makeable?
No, I don't think so.
So you think
I think that's
still be a good level fight?
Yeah, that will be a good level fight. I really do. You know, and a good South African fight, a good local fight. Because we can't think beyond South Africa now because of the situation, you know.
Yeah.
In actual fact, between you and me, if I was offered a fight for Toweel in Russia, I'll stay away from them. Let him clean up the current guys first, and then we can start thinking
that's a last resort.
Yes, that's a last resort, 100%.
All right, and next, Jeff Magagane. Jeff, unfortunately didn't get a decision going his way.
Yes.
Also had a bit of like emotions at theatrics at the end of his fights. The whole situation, what's next for him?
Okay, with that last fight against Thembiso Maduna for the ABU title, there's no ways I believe Jeff lost that fight. And I'm not one to complain because I accept decisions. You know, even people that were there, people contacted me. I believe he lost on a split decision, so I believe he won that fight. So what I've done, and then obviously his behavior afterwards, obviously people, he was upset. So his emotions got the better of him, unfortunately, and it's not the right thing to do. But I can understand it. Sometimes you just lose it. Unfortunately, we're all human, you know. But it shouldn't happen. But with respect to going forward, I did send a letter email to Dr. Nkatani to really look at the fight, and he said to me he must get a return match with Maduna. Okay, so hopefully that will happen soon. You know, to prove once and for all who's the better fighter of the two. Because Jeff was originally rated number 3 in the SA ratings, and we desperately want that SA title. You know, and until he can go to the SA champion and become SA champion, then we can talk about the bigger fights. You know. So, unfortunately, that loss has brought us 2 fights backward. He's gone now to number 5. So he'll have to work his way back, you know, which is fine. We'll do it. If we can get a rematch and if we can win, then we're back on top again and we'll be in line for a possible chance at the SA title. It's vacant at the moment. Whoever will be there, you know. So, all I'm saying is I still believe he's got a good career ahead of him. You know, his lifestyle's changed from what I understand. You know, it's been an up and down road with Jeff. But the way he performed against Maduna, it was one of his better performances that I've seen in the last 2 to 3 years, which is a positive thing for us.
And he's got an obsession with obviously fighting Lorato Glamini as well. He wants to make that fight, but it seems a bit far for now, right?
Yes. I've spoken to Jeff about it. He wants to fight Lorato. I, as his manager and trainer, think, just hang on. Lorato's at another level now. I mean, we're not there yet. Let's clean up what we've got in front of us. Let's get a return match. Let's fight maybe Aziz, Gunet,
Much more makeable fights.
Yes, or Ginkwe.
Yeah.
Ginky, rather fight those guys first, and then we can start talking about the next level,
Yeah.
So, it's always on the back of his mind. Understandable. If he believes he can do it, I'm saying hold back a bit.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time. There's no rush. He's only 30.
Yeah.
And in today's time, 20, 30 years ago,
that's
30
a retirement approaching, yeah.
Exactly. In today's time, he's 30. He's got I would say, a good 6-7 years left in him. He hasn't taken much punishment. He's at 17 fights. No, 17 fights. 12 wins, 5 losses. It's fine. No problem with that. I mean, I'll give you an example of Prince Lomo.
Yeah.
At his career, he had 10 losses, 11 wins, and he knocks out Nomeva. He comes back, becomes SA champion.
Yeah.
So Jeff's if he must just remain patient, and he'll work our way to eventually, maybe one day, a match with Lamini.
All right, so next, Bangile Nyangani, good fighter.
Yes.
He's highly rated in the WBA.
Yes.
Potential SA title maybe looming. What's your thoughts on his next move?
We were offered. We were talking about it. I was having a chat with his manager early January for an SA title with Sia Kusa. And we thought that's going to materialise maybe towards the end of it. It never materialised. And I've chatted to his manager on numerous occasions that even if we can, I'm trying to get a promoter to get that match going. I've chatted to 2 promoters. I've even chatted to my sister that maybe we'll look at that fight maybe June, July, because that's a defining fight for Bangile also. Clear up the South Africans first before you think of the overseas guys, And I think it will be irrespective of crowd, because there's not going to be crowds now, from what I understand, for the next couple of months. I'm looking at the next 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Let's get that match together. It'll be a great TV fight between the SA champion and the #1 mandatory challenger. And let's see what happens. And then we can plan the next step. Because I believe in today's time in boxing, our current situation, we cannot plan beyond 3 months. Because the plateau changes all the time. It's like the weather, all the time changing.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. Yeah.
So, take care of him. Is there anyone else potentially around, or was it literally from that point international?
I would think beat him and then start looking at international fights then.
Okay.
But he's got to beat him.
Yeah, so it's a tough fight.
It's a tough fight. And Kusa's a good fighter. So, and it will be a great TV fight. So I'm trying to sell that to certain promoters. Let's see what comes out of it. And you know what I'm thinking? Should he win? Maybe he can go for a smaller title, world title. Maybe IBO, we don't know. Maybe even a WBA, but he's not ready for a WBA. He's got to have a few more fights to get to that level.
Maybe an international title.
Yes, international title or something to that effect. These are our plans now. Yeah.
Is there anyone I've forgotten?
No, I think we've covered everybody now.
We've covered everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you have a youngster as well, 2-0. You want to talk about him?
Yes, Trevor Ngunyama. He's a junior bantamweight. He's undefeated, but he's still relatively new. He's got to go through the motions. So he'll be fighting on the 28th of May on the
same bill.
On the J for Joy Promotions on the same bill, and also Rafiwa Nemushungwa, Setsi fly.
Yeah.
Right. He was fighting between junior bantam and bantam, junior bantam and bantam. Now we're going to stay in the bantamweight division. We fought Malajika. It was an opportunity. And when opportunities come now, we've got to grab those opportunities. And he put up, he exposed Malajika in a way. It was a tough, hard fight. He kept the pressure on him. He said to me, Malajika never hurt him. Problem with Rafi, he got too overly anxious. And never placed his punches correctly. But he put up a good fight. Now he's in the SA bantamweight ratings, he's number 5.
Oh, is he right there as well?
He's number 5, yeah. So he's in a fight now. Konwe. Go.
Natal.
Yeah. He's going to fight him over 8 rounds. Let's see how he goes. He gets a win. Let's see how the street fight rule also pans out. Because the street fight rule apparently has changed. Yeah, you never know. Yeah. So his dream is to become SA champion. So let's talk about that. SA champion. Don't worry about overseas. Don't worry about Germany. Don't worry about this. Let's focus on what we've got, what we can do here over the next couple of months.
I remember he actually, funny enough, he did an interview saying he wanted Ronald Malindi, but we're not certain that Malindi will stay at SA level for too long. It looks like he's undefeated. He's earned the right to sort of go the next step.
To international, absolutely, you know. And from what I hear, I don't know, through the grapevine again, he's going to fight international, you know. He may even go up a division, I don't know. From what you hear things, whether it's true or not. So there's a good possibility that Rafiwe, who's still hungry, he's still determined, you know. And he's still learning, you know. He's only 29, 12 wins, 6 losses, it's fine. Let's see what we can do with him, you know.
It was quite fun to see that he was helping out his former foe, Sabelo and Gibiana, prepare for Malajiga as well.
Yes, when for this last fight, Sabelo sparred a lot here in this gym. And Rafiu was one of his sparring, but it was very good sparring. And, funny enough, in the sparring, I started to see a sudden change in Rafiu. All of a sudden, I started seeing improvement in his defense. All of a sudden, I started seeing improvement in his the way he's throwing his punches, the way he's landing his punches, where I never saw before. So maybe he's a late bloomer, you understand. But it was excellent sparring, you know. And kudos to Sabelo for beating Malajika. It was a good fight, you know. Great fight. And you know what? I must tell you, be honest with you, Malajika is a good fighter. He's a good prospect, you know. He's going to go far.
Good name to take.
Yeah, absolutely, you know.
Are you going to work with Bruno Pereira, obviously, in the future? Maybe to prepare both your guys?
Whenever he needs assistance, then I'll always help where I can, you know. And it was a pleasure being with them, you know. It was Sabella's a good man. Bruno's a hell of a good youngster. I call him a youngster because he's up and coming. Yeah. And he's keen on the game. And he's willing to learn. So I believe he's got a good future also in the game as a trainer or manager, you know. Yeah. And hopefully they'll get good news. Maybe they'll be fighting for a title soon. Never know. You know, after this win, you know. So they're just waiting. But if they ever need assistance, I'm always willing to assist. You know?
All right. So, Alan, do you have any last words that you'd like to say?
Yes, I'd just like to commend some people in the boxing game. Specifically, certain trainers aren't mentioned. Cherit Mukundeleo. Yeah. You know, he's just come onto the scene. He took on Prince Lomo. And Prince Lomo surprised everybody by knocking out Nomeva. Now he wins the SA title against Mkoteli. Yeah. You know, he's a young trainer. And I think all kudos to him for the hard work that he's put into Lomo. I mean, he took on a guy who's had so many losses, you know. And he's elevated his career. Excellent work from him. Kudos to Bruno. Young man. Sabella was inactive for was more than a year.
Yeah, I think it was like
he was in no man's land. You know, and look, he had a good win now, you know, and now his future looks bright again. Yeah. I love those kind of stories because well done to those guys that stick with these guys, you know. Other guys will give up on them, you know. And I would also like to thank Golden Gloves for putting on my guys, giving us opportunity, and also for making fights happen. Rodney Berman, Jeff Ellis, Brian Mitchell. With the Rainer Liebenberg fight and Rowan Kane happened. They put it on. And it was great to see that. They're giving guys opportunities still, you know. And that's what I'd like to thank them for that, for their good work, their consistent good work. And last, I'd just like to thank BSA, Boxing South Africa. I think we have a strong administration team there. And I'm talking from the perspective of Gauteng, our provincial manager, Kloks. I think acting, I must say acting. I don't know if they appointed, I'm not sure. Yeah. I think he's done an excellent job in his role. Very positive. There's integrity, there's openness. You know, I remember when I was working at SARS, the biggest things in a senior manager position is transparency, openness, and fairness. I also like to thank Sydney Nkomo. I think she's doing a good job. She's under a lot of pressure. And you can see now this 3-fight rule has they're looking at changing it, or it has been changed. I think it has to be gazetted, you know. So our administration, I believe, is strong, that we as stake, I call ourselves employees, can look up to them with pride, you know. So that's what I would like to say.